Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with what so many of you say is your favourite show of the week. You're talking tactics, reacting to and analysing Aston Villa 1, Ipswich 1. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button and get your comments and your thoughts on that game from Saturday. It was a very frustrating game, and another one that's been a story of our season, Gareth. Missed opportunity again.
Yeah, heavy breathing, big sigh. Yeah, it's just, we've spoke about it so many times on this show alone, let alone all the other shows that you guys do, and it's just the same problems time after time, but you've got to be beating a 10-man team that are in the relegation zone. Come on.
Exactly. There's no other way to say it, whether it was sloppy defending, whether it was poor finishing, whether it was lack of pace, lack of speed in terms of movement, in terms of passing the ball. It was everything rolled into one that then just turned into a kind of desperation station towards the end of the game that you can't leave yourself in those positions, can you?
No, and there was a lot of sort of post-match talk amongst people, whether it be Unai or whether it different people that say we weren't following the plan as such and things like that. But it was the plan seemed to be the same as what it always was. So there's no reason for it not to work, and it's worked in the past. But yeah, everything was just sort of dwelling on the ball a little bit slow, side to side a little bit, instead of just being that more penetrative like we used to seeing.
Yeah. Well, let's get straight into it. Let's talk the tail of the tape, because you did actually, in our WhatsApp group, in our chats, talking about kind of the domination that Villa had really in terms of the game. Obviously, the score is what matters, but 16 corners, I'm looking at that there, 75% possession, 85% field tilt. It was all domination of Aston Villa, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. The one thing, look at the passes. 623 completed passes compared to 171. Were we playing it about a little bit too much instead of being that penetrative? We can say that, yeah, like you say, the field to 85% of that is spent in the Ipswich final third. We should be doing better than that. The stats are fine. The stats are great, but there's nothing to show for it.
Yeah. Brilliant defensive performance from Ipswich, you have to say there. 23 tackles and 11 won, 13 interceptions, 40 clearances. So they definitely put their bodies on the line for it. But
yeah, but we can see there, 16. We had 16 passes per sequence, which means we're retained. Can you just bring that back up again, Rich?
Yeah.
So we've got 16 passes per sequence. Look at their PPDA as well. Their passes per defensive action. So they're quite happy to just sit off, which they had to do probably anyway. But 13.93 before they even bother to make a tackle, and we're not doing anything with it.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. I can hear the frustration in your voice, which is what everyone else was seeing, and everyone, because it's kind of been the story of so many games this season, home and away. Maybe not quite the kind of domination in terms of territory and corners, but a lot of games. I think back to Bournemouth, where we conceded a goal right at the end that we had lots of chances in. Leicester could have been a lot more straightforward. Southampton, I know we won 1-0, but that could have been a lot more straightforward.
Wolves.
The games like Wolves, yeah, another one. Manchester United, I know it was a bit of a damp squib, but a game where we were at home, had a lot of possession, had a lot of opportunity to maybe be a bit more penetrative. So it's been so many games this season where these issues have arose, and I don't know whether it's mindset, I don't know whether it's mentality, I don't know whether it's kind of just taking care of the final pass, whether it's, I've been talking about snatching at efforts, as I say, the later on in the game it gets, the more pressure that's placed on each shot or each attack, the players get more tense, and maybe it's something like that. I don't know. Let's have a look at the passing sonars quickly. The Ipswich one first. Anything that you noticed here? They didn't have too many passes in the game, but anything in terms of the shape and the way that they're set up as well as the passes?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously the one before the sending off. So, I mean, not really much to see here. I don't know if you got it, but I plotted another one after the sending off, and then I've plotted the ones for the Villa ones as well. So you can see a bit of a difference. But yeah, before the sending off, Ipswich not offering much, and of course after it, not offering much either. Yeah. So it's a bit of a difficult thing. But yeah, I mean, Twan sending off sort of changed everything for them really in terms of their game plan. But it shouldn't have changed ours.
Yeah, I've got both of them for Villa. Let me just see which one I've got up here. So that's the second half. Let's do the first half one first. Minutes 16 to 46. I mean, very high. As we know, we had a lot of pressure. Daniel Marler maybe not getting involved as much as maybe he could have done. I don't know. I don't know if that's something to look at. Or
no, I think it's a fair comment. I think that was visible in the game, wasn't it? He wasn't involved that much. A lot of passing in sort of central midfield again from Tielemans, but we're a little bit more condensed, I thought, than what we normally were. Luca Digne coming inside a lot more, and that was probably because you're playing against a low block, admittedly, but if you're playing against a low block, make the pitch as wide as you possibly can. And if we look at the next one, Rich, the one that after the substitutions, look how high Rashford and Asensio are. You know, that's what we want to see. This is an ideal. We'd like to see this week in, week out. Of course we would, but it's not always the same. It's almost the perfect attacking shape, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Maatsen position could be a bit wider. I know it's difficult for fullbacks, but maybe they could, like you said, to stretch that pitch out a bit. If Rashford and Asensio are driving inside, then you want the fullback then to be wide, and they weren't going to. They obviously they had their one attack that they did score from, but you take my point. They're not going to trouble you too much in terms of attack, so your fullbacks could go a little bit higher and wider to stretch them, and you could even drop a John McGinn slightly deeper to help with cover. But yeah. It did seem that way and congested. And when we talked about the block shots, the interceptions, if you are passing it through the middle all the time or trying the slide rule passes, they're going to get intercepted. They're going to get blocked. The way to beat these teams is shots from different angles that might get a deflection, being high and wide to create the gaps through the channels. That's how you beat them. And it just doesn't seem like we're doing it. And maybe it is why Unai Emery was getting frustrated with not sticking to a plan or whatever the plan was.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that you said about, I thought the Maatsen and Rashford combination almost sort of worked reasonably well. I thought when it was on.
Yeah.
But again, with Maatsen, we saw him on the graphic there, excuse me, like I said, quite narrow. When Luca Digne is normally playing wide, he's literally hugging that line, isn't he? When I plot these, you literally see him hugging that line. And that wasn't happening from him, and it wasn't happening particularly from Maatsen. And the trouble is, Rashford likes to stay wide and come inside. He's not really a half-space player like Morgan Rogers or your Jacob Ramses. So then you're kind of crossing over each other. So Maatsen has to fill inside a little bit more. It was kind of a little bit disorganised.
Yeah. Well, it did seem like that, but it kind of felt like if the goal had have come, then the calmness would have transpired and the weight would have been lifted off the player's shoulders. But unfortunately, the second goal didn't come. Let's have a look at the kind of tail of the tape with the XG and the shots on target. I mean, 25 shots. Is 6 on target from 25 shots a bit of a disappointment?
Yeah, I mean, it just gets worse. The more graphics we show, that it sort of almost gets worse. Yeah, but again, the one stat that I would look at again, that we reach out time after time, is the big chances. 3 big chances and 2 missed again. And plus, if you put that onto the, say the 2.42 XG, you should be looking at over 2.5 goals. You're looking at 3 goals really with the chances that you've had.
Yeah, and the timeline. Constant there, build up of pressure for Villa, I guess, and the one opportunity for Ipswich really that just makes it so much more frustrating that they managed to put that one away.
Yeah, and I thought the lack of shots in the first half. And
Yes,
you can say,
yes.
okay, well, there's a red card, but you've got to be doing better than that against. This is a team in the bottom three, by the way, who are not the worst in the Premier League by any stretch, but they're not a great side. And you're looking at from 70 minutes plus all those continuation of shots. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. Momentum, going to tell us a lot here. Basically, not enough in the first half, as you say there, kind of points that out. But second half, obviously, as it went on, just complete domination, but not able to score enough goals.
Yeah, one precedes sort of the other. The lack of expected threat means that you're not going to have many opportunities because your expected threat is quite low to create them opportunities. And saw it from the XG that it wasn't. So yeah, you're right. One leads to another, but again, 1.76, expected threat against this side, it's still got to be better, I'm afraid. And it continued on throughout the game, by the way. Look at it.
It did. Quick diversion to a lot of people talked about their goalkeeper having an absolute worldie, Alex Palmer. Is that the case?
Yes, I would say it is. Maybe a worldie is a bit too strong a word. I mean, but don't get me wrong, it's his debut in the Premier League and he deserves a chance, Alex Palmer, by the way. A good goalkeeper in the Championship. He had a worldie's probably, like I say, a strong word, but he really did keep them in the game. And this shows it basically. Prevented 1.60 goals. So you could say he's almost prevented 2 goals on his own. So therefore, if we look at the XG of 2.42 that we had, he's literally saved them the 2 goals.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's have a look at the defenders, the top 10. Anything to sort of talk about here? Dara O'Shea, Calvin Phillips had a really good game, didn't he? It's just typical. He's kind of, I guess, what we might class as has-been players turn up and bloody have an absolutely worldie against Aston Villa.
Yeah, it's not the first time, is it? You're right. And
no.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to see the Ipswich up the top of here for pretty much all of it. So yeah, it's a tale of the tape again, isn't it? You can see all the attacking stats from us and the defensive stats from them. But yeah, I thought Dara O'Shea especially, and I thought Calvin Phillips, they did have a good game.
They did. Ball progressions, top 10. Disasi up there. Garcia, I think a lot of people were impressed with his outing. Anything that you kind of spotted with kind of ball progression?
No, I mean, I expected Disasi to be up the top of here because over here, Tyrone Mings, because they had so much time at the back to, they weren't being pressed. They could always progress that ball forward. So in this game, we probably shouldn't read too much into that. Possibly more from the likes of Garcia and Tielemans as well. But yeah, we've just got to we'd like to see the ball progressors sort of the Morgan Rogers type higher up that stat, really.
Yeah, definitely. And the shot sequence involvement, like I've talked about Rashford and his impact at halftime. I mean, this kind of tells you that he did have a huge impact.
He did, yeah, and so did Asensio.
Asensio as well. Yeah. He should have scored though. I mean, I'm sorry. I know Watkins missed a couple of chances. I'm not digging out Asensio at all because he was excellent when he came and you can see the quality, but. If Watkins had missed the chances that he missed, he would have got absolutely crucified for it.
Yeah, you did right. Asensio should have scored. I thought when he come on, he almost looked too good for us in a weird kind of way. He looked really good, and so it was kind of a weird, strange thing to say. I know, but when you watch it back, he really did. And yeah, it's good to see Rashford up there. I think both of these have to start against Liverpool.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do a bit of a preview later, and that should form part of it. I mean, I'm not quite sure where I'm standing with it at the minute because I'm still one for big impact off the bench, and maybe one of those two off the bench might be a bigger impact than say keeping Marlon and Ramsey off the bench because we know he's going to make substitutions. He's 100% going to make substitutions. So is it better off starting with a Ramsey and Rashford, or Ramsey and Asensio, and then bringing on, Marlon and Rashford or something like that? Who knows? But yeah, it's a good option. It's a good problem to have. But yeah, they were both excellent. And then I guess the expected threat, Rashford obviously there, Garcia there as well. I mean, talk of a fitness test for Matty Cash. Would you say Garcia though has got the shirt at the minute? Have you been impressed with him?
Yeah, I would say he has got the shirt at the minute. I think, we don't see Matty Cash up in terms of expected threat again. We have to take all these with a pinch of salt because of the amount
Yeah,
of time we had with
yeah.
the ball. But it's good to see Rashford up there, that impact kind of thing. And it's going to be hard to leave Morgan Rogers out the side, isn't it, anyway?
Exactly, and that's been my point. Morgan Rogers, he does frustrate at times. He does drift in and out of games, but he is at the moment, our second best impact in terms of goals, in terms of assists. Barring Ollie Watkins, and then see he kind of has to play. And then Ramsey, as I said in my tweet earlier, i.e. Tuesday evening, everyone was waxing lyrical about Jacob Ramsey, saying he's back to his best. He's getting back to the Jacob Ramsey of old, England, talk about England and all this kind of stuff after the Spurs game. Probably could have scored more goals. But now, because Rashford's had a great second half, don't get me wrong, against Ipswich, 10 men Ipswich, I might add, it's kind of like, forget about Ramsey. He's got to learn that it's a rotation game. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a difficult one.
Yeah, we're big fans of
equally, Ramsey wasn't great in that first half. But I thought he was getting into it as the half went on, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought he was a bit unlucky to be withdrawn. I think there was a bit of a sort of smacks of desperation, wasn't it, at half time almost? We're not doing so well here. They're a man down. We should be doing a lot better than this. So maybe a little bit of desperation comes in. But on reflection, yeah, probably is Rashford more effective from the bench, or is Asensio more effective from the bench, or both? So it's kind of one of them tough thing. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. Quick look at the passing network. Anything that you noticed here in terms of types of passes? Were we going long and direct a little bit more than we've usually done?
Well, the goalkeeper pass length stat doesn't tell us that, but however, it did seem that way, didn't it? A little bit, I think the ball into Watkins is key over the top for Miners. I think that is a good option for us. But we go back to the expected threat, and we saw Garcia up the top near the top of that list. And this is no surprise, number 16 on the passing network for us here. So that's interesting. But look at that line, the dark line going across the pitch. Now that reflects to us. It's just constant side to side passing. That's all that is pretty much. And we saw that in the game, didn't we?
Yeah. Why do you think that? Because Yuri Tielemans scored a really good goal from a deep run from midfield against Arsenal. Why do you think that we're not necessarily seeing too much of that kind of third man running, late runs into the box from the likes of Tielemans or McGinn that much at the minute?
I think it has a lot to do with Kamara not sitting in that midfield. I think he offers that defensive reassurance so that Tielemans, Anana, McGinn, whoever that may be, can make those later runs into the box. But we haven't seen a great deal of that all season long, have we? It hasn't sort of repeated out quite a bit. But I think it's got a lot to do with Kamara sitting in midfield.
Yeah, fair comment. Distance covered, I think a lot of people like this. Anything that you noticed here? I see McGinn and Tielemans stats there, 17.5 kilometers from Tielemans, nearly 16 for McGinn. That's pretty, and 16 from Garcia as well. So a lot of work that we're getting through.
Yeah, more so Garcia, you would say, in effectiveness. But I mean, it goes back to your point. If Tielemans and McGinn are running that much, where are they running to and from? Because we had the possession most of the time. So where are those runs? Can they use that sort of, that distance? Can they use that to be more effective, as you say, with some of those late runs into the box? I don't think that's John McGinn's style. I think he's more of a sit on the edge, have a whack sort of guy. But Tielemans probably is a little bit more like that. Just need to see a bit more of it.
Yeah, maybe they were a bit busy fools instead of just thinking about the game a little bit more. And then, I've always said, there's an argument where if you're in the set positions like, Watkins within the width of the box and work the fullbacks, work the centre backs off the shoulder. Okay, great. But what's the movement like for Ramsey? What's the movement like for Rodgers? They need to pull the defenders away a little bit more, make the runs beyond Ollie Watkins if he drops deep, or drop into an area a little bit deeper, pull the defender who's marking you a little bit deep, more like way deeper, so then someone can get in behind you. You look at the distances that they covered there. Marlon even, yes, you're out on the right-hand side, but come right across the pitch and pick up the ball. You've got enough possession. You're the team that's in 8th position in the league. You're playing against second bottom in the league. We're having 85% possession. You can pretty much go wherever you want on the pitch. And you want to create these overloads that's going to think, well, hang on a minute. 1 minute I was marking him. Next I'm marking him. Particularly if they were going man-to-man as well, which Emery said in the first half. That's what you've got to do. You've got to drag them around. You've got to switch them across. There wasn't enough movement.
No, and I also thought for Marlon especially, some of the crosses that were coming in off the left-hand side, he was not even on the edge of the box or in the box. He was sort of still hanging a little bit more out wide. We've said it before, just flood the box, just get them all in there if you've got. But again, I go back to it. I think that's because Kamara is not that defensive reinsurance sitting in the middle third, if you like, ready to stop any counter attacks. Maybe they're a little bit worried about that. But like with Rodgers and Ramsey, have definitely got to be getting in the box a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's much more to really say about it. It was a frustrating game, but good to go through all the stats. Obviously, you've got loads of more slides and viz graphics that you'll tweet out. So where can people look out for that, mate? And as I say, I know it's a couple of days later, but I think it's always important to go through it and talk about it from an analyst perspective. But yeah, where can people find all of the visuals?
Yeah, I'll put them on at One Video Analysis straight after this.
Brilliant. Yeah, make sure you follow Gareth at One Villa Analysis as well. I'll put my teeth back in. And I'm sure we'll be back as well after the Liverpool game. The games are coming thick and fast. We've got Liverpool, we've got Chelsea, we've got Crystal Palace. If we've got any aspirations of, European football, let alone, I don't even want to talk about Champions League football, we've got to get some positive results out of these next 3, Gareth.
Yes. Yeah, we have. I think it's going to take probably, say, 69, 70 points to get up to where we need to be. Can we do that? Not on current form, it doesn't look like, does it? So we've got to start winning games. If we can beat Liverpool tomorrow, I think that will really set them on a really good course. It might give them that bit of confidence. However, saying that, we've seen that before. And then the following game, we don't do so well against teams we should beat. So they're all tough games.
Exactly. Well, we'll be here with it. We'll also be previewing the Liverpool game very soon. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel for that. We'll be reacting to that match, hopefully, with another 3 points. Although it will annoy me a little bit because, yes, as Gareth said, we can get up for these big games, but we can't necessarily get up for the so-called smaller games. But that's by the by. But I'll be back with a match reaction for that. Full match reaction with the boys, match preview for Chelsea, talking tactics, you name it. Make sure you are stay tuned to the channel. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, help us continue to grow. Get your comments in as well. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.